So what else do we got? I really enjoy all the different NPCs you come across. They are very distinct from one another, both in design and attitude. They make the lands between feel very populated. It's just so great getting a From Software game that has such a vital and vibrant world, with such vital and vibrant people in it. The open world aspect is such a nice breath of fresh air compared to the much more linear approach of From's previous games. I'm pretty sure almost everyone loves the freedom that this game provides when it comes to exploring the world and progressing through the game at your own pace and in your own unique way. It's awesome stuff. Talking about the world building, I'm so glad that Elden Ring takes place during a time in its world where, sure, everything is slowly going to shit and there's a lot of chaos, but the conflict and the chaos is still ongoing. If you compare this to the Dark Souls series, you're wandering through a hopeless world that is at the brim of total collapse. There's almost no hope to be found. And in all Dark Souls games, especially 1 and 3, because those are the ones that I've played, the central theme is basically death and the end of the Age of Fire. Only a few people are left, and very few of these people still have hope. And your role in this cold, dying world is not that clear at all. Yes, you do go on a path and finally decide the fate of the world. However, at this point, it barely makes any difference. Whereas in Elden Ring, you as a Tarnished are born at a point in time in the world where there's actually still hope and a lot of life to be found. The grasses are green, the map is filled with animals and so many different creatures, and all the interactions you have with the various NPCs have a much more optimistic and flourishing quality to them. Compared to Dark Souls, this world still feels like it can return to a more stable and hopeful state, despite all the chaos and the big war that has vastly destabilized it. You feel like you can truly make a strong impact in this world. And yes, Elden Ring's world is still very tragic, and much of it is still filled with rot and death. But compared to the full-on apocalyptic nature of Dark Souls, Elden Ring's world is still in the early stages of collapse. And you as the player can actually make a big change within this world, and for the many people and entities living in it. I think this was an excellent decision on From Software's part, because it would have been a bit boring to have the same old, super depressing and lifeless vibe Dark Souls is known for in Elden Ring. I'm not saying that one is particularly superior over the other, it's just a much appreciated change of feel and overall atmosphere that I'm very happy with. And interestingly, this even improves some of the aspects that Elden Ring copied from Dark Souls, like the bloodstains and the messages left by other players. Because the entire world feels so much more vibrant and alive, to me it makes much more sense in-universe that there are many other Tarnished traveling on their own path and leaving their marks behind in your world. I haven't done any multiplayer stuff yet, but given that aspect, I feel very confident that the PvP and co-op boss fights will feel much more lore accurate and fitting in a sense. Unlike in Dark Souls, in which it always felt a bit outer-worldly to interact with many other players, because the world was just so lonely and cold. As a result of the lonely and lifeless vibes of Dark Souls, all these interactions with other players felt much more separated from the main game. It's almost like the games have a campaign mode and then the multiplayer mode that feel very different from one another, but take place in the same exact places. But in the much more vital and populated world of Elden Ring, this line is much more blurry, at least to me. And this goes back to the entire element of gamification and stuff. I truly feel that some aspects of the game mechanics feel much more cohesive with the lore and the world of Elden Ring, which is pretty freaking interesting. And I also feel that, even if it's just subconsciously, this makes Elden Ring a much more longer lasting game in terms of player base and the multiplayer. Aside obviously from it being such a huge game with a gigantic open world and just so much content.